with 2 1 seeds now gone, how does this open? Give me the team or the program that this opens things up for a better chance now to cut down nets. What do you think?
Well,
Jay?
Cut down nets. I mean, make it to the Final Four. So the East was turned upside down by both Marquette and Purdue losing in the first weekend. Marquette was probably the weakest of the 2 seeds. They're not a big team, and they're not a great rebounding team, and they turned the ball over against Michigan State. Usually they're the one with the positive turnover margin. I think they were +5 turnover margin, and they wound up flipping that with Michigan State. And Michigan State's not a turnover-forcing team, but Tom Izzo's done an amazing job with those guys. I think Tennessee and Kansas State, that opened up for them. And Tennessee is way more physical than Florida Atlantic. And that Kansas State-Michigan State game is going to be great. But Kansas State has a 1-2 punch with Marquise Noel, their little point guard, and then Keontae Johnson that's going to be difficult to contain. But Michigan State can shoot it from multiple positions. They can go small. They can play a little bit bigger. They're going to be a difficult challenge. But I think that region and then the South opened up completely for Alabama now. I thought they had a pretty good path before, but Arizona was the one team I thought could really give them a problem. Now it's a very, very easy path for them to take on San Diego State, who has a problem scoring, but they can really guard and they can make it a physical contest and slow it down. And then the winner of Creighton-Princeton, which I expect to be Creighton, but Princeton can, if they make 10 or 12 threes, they can certainly make that a problem for the Blue Jays.
In the UCLA-Gonzaga game now with Kansas out, the 2-3, that's fascinating to me, that one. How far of a run can the winner of that game go, do you think, in the 16th, Jay?
They can certainly go to the Final Four. I mean, UCLA before the tournament started, actually before the end of the regular season, was a favorite to win this thing. One of the probably half dozen favorites to win it. But then Jalen Clark got hurt. He's their best defender. He may be the country's best perimeter defender. Their best transition player. Only he and Arizona's Azuolas Tubelis scored. They were the 2 leading scorers in transition in the Pac-12 on the season. And he's a downhill driver that goes right into your chin every time he takes it up. But without him, they're not as good. Other guys have stepped forward, the quote-unquote role players that are in a role, but doesn't mean that's all they can do. Like Amari Bailey stepped forward and had done a good job, and Tiger Campbell scored more. But Gonzaga can really score. They're the probably the best offensive team in that region. It'll be interesting to see if they can rebound and defend with UCLA, but that'll be hopefully a high-scoring game, because you remember in the Final Four a couple of years ago, they played that game where Jalen Suggs hit that shot at the end, that half-court shot to win it in the bubble. It'd be nice to see a little bit more scoring in some of these games that have turned into slugfest. But I still think UConn is the best team in that region, and they're playing the best right now. But playing the best doesn't mean anything if you don't carry it forward into next week.
And in the Midwest, it's the only region in the bracket where the top 3 seeds survived, and Miami of Florida is the 5th seed that knocked off 4th seeded Indiana. So how do you see that one playing out, Jay?
Well, I think Houston and Texas are the 2 best teams. I would expect them both to advance, even though Miami's got so many shot makers. Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller, Nigel Pack, those guys can really score, and they can create their own, which is unique. They're kind of like an NBA team in that regard. But the biggest factor is going to be their big guy, Norchad Omier, transferred in there from Arkansas State. He's a double-double guy and really formidable, even though he's only about 6'8". But if Houston's completely healthy, I think Houston can win that game because they're so good defensively and they're so good on the glass. They can cause a lot of problems for Miami. And then that if Houston and Texas get through, it's basically offense against defense. Like Houston doesn't score as efficiently as Texas does, but they're better defensively and better on the glass. But I think that's got the makings. If the 1 and 2 get there, that's got the makings of the best regional final, I think.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.